Hi, welcome to Young Champions 101. My name is Craig Tornquist, and today I am delighted to be having a conversation with one of my favorite inclusive leaders in the state of Indiana. Her name is Lisa Graham, and Lisa is the director of Young Champions. Lisa, how did you first get involved with Young Champions?
Yeah, so my background is that I grew up with a sister-in-law that taught a life skills class. And from the age of 8, I knew that's what I wanted to do, teach students with intellectual disabilities. I was a life skills teacher for 13 years. And during that time, I saw that my students were left out of a lot of things because um, back then there was no young champions. There was Special Olympics in the community, but I didn't really know much about that as a teacher. And so we weren't able to connect our kids with these types of opportunities in the 90s. So knowing that, and when I found out about Champions Together as a director, that did a lot of things for my older students, my high school students, but that still left a void for the younger kids. So when we had a chance to partner and pilot that Young Champions opportunity back in 2016, I believe, we jumped on it because we want our kids from the very first time they step into our school to know that they are our part. They're all our kids. They're a part of our school community, and we want to provide them with opportunities. That's why Special Olympics and Young Champions is so special because it includes everybody.
What exactly is Young Champions?
Young Champions is a really exciting way to bring inclusion into athletics. So when we talk about our students with disabilities, we use the term athlete. And when we bring in their peers and their friends that are in the gen ed setting, we call them partners. So our athletes and partners join together and compete, and it is a competition. It's not a let me hold your hand and walk you through this activity. It's a very exciting competitive atmosphere, whether it's track or robotics or e-learning, or I'm sorry, e-games. Whatever the competition is, it is full of exciting opportunities.
And Young Champions is actually a partnership, is that correct?
Yeah, thanks. So, Young Champions is a partnership between Special Olympics Indiana and the professional educational organization called ICASE, which stands for Indiana Council of Administrators of Special Education. So the two together bring their knowledge and expertise and offer this opportunity to individual school districts in Indiana.
Well, as you know, Lisa, Special Olympics Indiana has so many opportunities for people with intellectual disabilities, really people of all ages. Can you talk about how Young Champions fits into that overall Special Olympics Indiana continuum?
We talk about continuums a lot in special education because every student has an individual education plan and has individual needs that pertain to them specifically. So when we talk about unified athletics in Indiana, it starts with Young Champions, and that's age 3 when we talk about our early Head Start kids. We start right away with providing them opportunities to be involved in Special Olympics at the school level. So Young Champions is like 3 to 7 or 8 years old for the youngest, but then it continues with that fourth through sixth grade group, all encompassing Young Champions. Then we move into Champions in the Middle and Champions Together, which is the high school program. And so each one of those levels partners with an educational organization. So Young Champions, like I said earlier, was ICASE. Champions in the Middle is the Middle School Principals Association. Champions Together is the IHSAA, and so on and so on. So there is a continuum. As a student gets older, they transition into a different age group and different opportunities. So just like in the world of sports, let's say at the school level, elementary students have 1 or 2 opportunities to do things. When they get to the middle school and junior high, that opens up. There are more sports, more extracurricular activities. That's how Unified Champion Schools is too. At the Young Champions level, There is unified robotics in the fall and unified game day, game day in the spring. But when you get to the middle school, then it opens up more with esports and other things. And then when you get to the high school, you actually get to letter in the sport that you're participating in and earn maybe a letter jacket. But all of those things all are on that continuum of community partnerships or the community programming that Special Olympics Indiana does so well. So in each of our communities, and there's a regional map, I think, that shows if you live in Grant County, what, who your coordinator is for that county. But they provide even more opportunities for students in the community: swimming, bowling, basketball. I wouldn't even know what all of the sports are, but I do know that you can do all of that just by being a part of a unified program, whether it's Young Champions or Champions Together. You can be a part of your community program. And that's what we want, that families understand that there are lots of opportunities for their kiddos.
One way that a school can show that it is inclusive of students of all abilities is by earning the Unified Champion School banner. Lisa, can you talk a little bit about that?
Yeah, so the banner is the most prestigious award that you can get as a young champion, and even in the other levels, because it proves that you are committed to the young champions or to the unified movement. And that includes 4 pillars. We call them pillars, and each pillar represents a different piece of that commitment that you're making.
All right. So, 4 pillars. What is pillar number one?
The first pillar is inclusive youth leadership. And that looks like, if you see on the slide, it gives you some examples. That looks like including one of the athletes in your school, and including them in maybe your student council conversation as you're planning this unified event. So if the student council is going to be the ones that put this on, you may invite 2 or 3 of your athletes with disabilities to join in and be part of that planning. What do you want the day to look like? Do you want to have lunch? What kind of lunch do you want to have? How do you want, you know, this person or that person to be involved in the parade? Just including them and having a voice at the table for those students is really what we're talking about in pillar number 1, inclusive youth leadership.
When I talk to students about the importance of inclusive youth leadership, the way I explain it is this way. When you do something for a student with an intellectual disability, that's really nice. But when you do something with that individual, it empowers them and it changes the way they look at themselves and the rest of our world. And that brings us to pillar number 2, which is whole school engagement. What does that mean?
Yeah, so that really means our whole school is bought into this idea of inclusive athletic opportunities or the Young Champions movement. So that can look like so many different things. Sometimes I hear special education directors or principals say, I'm not sure how we can fit that into our day. Our day is so academic. We have so many standards to cover. We have to prep the kids, for I learn or I read. We just don't have time for that. But I can personally say to you that I've seen it done in my own districts, and I work for a co-op of 5 individual districts, but I've seen it all across the state.
And I've been on the committee that has put together 3 different whole school engagement options that are available to your school. Each one is fun and each one is free. We have our traditional in person assembly, which runs 45 minutes, and it is 45 minutes of pure joy. Happens in your gymnasium. I bring in all the sound equipment that we're going to use. Tons of music, a lot of laughter. We talk about what it means to be a unified champion school. We talk about kindness, and we've done this at more than 200 schools around the state, and it is wonderful. Another option we have was actually created during COVID, but is even more popular today than it was then. It is a virtual school assembly. And this is a 25-minute video, which is customized for your school, and it stars your principal or another enthusiastic adult on your staff. All I need is a 15-minute recording session with one of those individuals. I walk them through the lines that I need them to record. We do them one at a time. There's no memorization required. I then edit together this video, which is very customized to your student body. You then take the video, it's a YouTube video that I will send you the link to, and you can share it out with your staff and they can show it at their convenience. It's 25 minutes long. It does not require you bringing everyone down to the gym. It is super user friendly. And another option we have is a program called Read Like a Young Champion. And this is a series of YouTube videos where either myself or one of my friends is reading one of my favorite books about kindness and inclusion. Each video runs 5 to 7 minutes, and it's ended with 3 questions that we ask that are wonderful discussion starters in your classroom. Again, these are YouTube videos, super user friendly. During March Disability Awareness Week, you could show one each morning. You could show one each month this school year. You can pick and choose from the menu of books that appeal to you most. And we'd love to share this opportunity with you as well. Lisa, in addition to these things, what are some other ideas for whole school engagement?
It might be Crazy Sock Day for autism, or, meet a new friend at the cafeteria and invite them to sit with your group. Any kind of activity or idea where we're bringing everybody together and being an inclusive community counts towards that whole school engagement.
Excellent. That brings us to pillar number 3, which is unified sports. A unified sport is when you take students with intellectual disabilities, students without intellectual disabilities, and you put them together on the same team. And when you do that, something magical happens. It just becomes one big group of students competing and having so much fun. One way elementary schools in Indiana are fulfilling this pillar is by competing in unified robotics. Lisa, can you please describe for us unified robotics?
So we started Unified Robotics during COVID, and it was a crazy time to start something, but we started it because we just needed to feel normal again, and it was a way to bring something that's really, it's really a catching activity right now for young people. Building robotics, coding, the whole STEM experience. And we were able to bring that into a competitive sports kind of format, and we call it Unified Robotics. And we use First Lego League rules and equipment, and we've had great communication with First Lego League of Indiana. They've helped us come along with how we've programmed this. But anyway, we start that in the fall. And this just shows you some examples of that. So coders, people that love robotics and that whole using devices to program and create things are unique individuals. And it's so fun to watch this competition because it's not like we've got our shorts and t-shirt and our running shoes on. This is like we're dressed alike. We're feeling unified. We may have crazy hair, or you'll see in this picture, they were the superheroes. So they had their superhero capes on. And they all come together, and there's a theme every year. This year's theme is submerged, so it's an underwater theme. And they get together and they do missions. And so each mission is themed toward building Legos and then using their robots to do something interesting. Like they might have to go deep dive and pick up a crate underwater and then move that crate to another part of the ocean floor. That's just one example, but we have teams of 6, 3 partners and 3 athletes joining together. They meet during the school day or after school, and they practice in their with their teams, building these missions and programming their devices so that on game day, they come to the table and 2 kids at a time, 1 partner and 1 athlete, compete against themselves, really.
And we have a video that captures beautifully the excitement of unified robotics. Check this out. I love it. Lisa, what are some other events that Young Champion schools do to fulfill this pillar?
I would say the biggest one is called Unified Game Day, and it's a track event. And one of the things that I want to share is that this is a competitive track event. This is not like field day. It shouldn't look like field day. Although there are fun activities going on when the athletes aren't competing, the main part of this day is this is a competitive track meet. We stage it in a way that looks exactly like a track. There are starters. There's an announcer talking about what the next event is going. You sometimes come to my event, not sometimes, you always come to my event, and you do that professional, okay, everybody, we have round one of the 100-meter dash, and you need to line up, you need to go to this station. It truly is a competition, and there are winners and there are losers. We focus on everybody working together, but it very much is a competition. So if that's not your sweet spot and you can't pull that off, there are other unified events that you could do, like Unified Fitness Club. You can do that during the school day where maybe it's your PE teacher, or maybe you have an adaptive PE teacher that can talk about fitness, and you can go through a series of fitness activities during maybe a 8 or 12-week learning experience. That can be considered a unified event. And so you're still doing something within your building that you're capable of doing. But I would encourage all of you to think about a unified game day. It changes the culture of your school after the event when parents, families, staff members, and other students see and are cheering on all students of all abilities, of all just all students. I'm sorry, I had a yeah.
No, that's the power of unified
Sorry.
sports, and you see it now in elementary schools, middle schools, high schools,
Yep.
and principals will tell you this has absolutely changed the culture of our building.
Yes, it does.
So that brings us to pillar number 4, which is fundraising. What does fundraising have to do with all this?
Yeah. So this is one that Indiana chooses to do and adds it to the banner program because we think it's so important for the buy-in. So fundraising allows the district to show that they're fully committed to being a part of this banner program and standing apart from maybe somebody that just participates in a game day but doesn't do any of the other pillars. So fundraising allows the school to give back to Special Olympics. So Special Olympics Indiana provides a lot of supplies, equipment, resources, and we'll get into that maybe in another section. But by giving back, by fundraising for Special Olympics Indiana, that shows that you're committed to making sure that this type of programming continues to exist year after year. And it is a partnership with the actual DOE, the Department of Education federally, because Special Olympics federally, I'm sorry, National Special Olympics and the federal Department of Education also partner together. So it's just a way to show that we're working together to continue that opportunity to provide programming for all students.
So the goal is $250. What are some fun things you've seen schools do to achieve this?
Right. I'm going to give you an example that fits two different pillars. So if you do a crazy sock day, you can not only count that as your whole school engagement, but if you charge $1 to wear those crazy socks and you raise $250 because you have that many students in your school, then you've just fulfilled two of the pillars. You've done the fundraising and you've done the whole school engagement. And if in fact you planned that crazy sock day with your inclusive youth leadership, then that's three pillars with one activity. But people do other things like jar wars. I saw a really fun one with a competition between the principal and the assistant principal, and they had to wear the shirt. If they lost, they had to wear the shirt um, of a college that the other one wanted them to. So let's say it's an IU Purdue war. And if you were the loser and you were a Purdue fan, you had to wear the IU shirt. So, and the kids love it. The kids love anything that that causes like their teachers or their staff to have to do something that they don't want to do. And you play it up real big. Maybe it's a pie in the face, you know, you get caught being good and you get tickets and you get your name put in a jar. And if your name gets pulled out of the jar, you get to throw a pie in your principal or your teacher's face. Kids go crazy over that, or pouring water over their head. So there are so many different things that could happen to raise money. And $250 just like that, with nickels, dimes, quarters, it's really, you're coming together to support this movement.
We've talked about the positive impact that young champions will have on the culture of your building. What are other benefits that schools receive?
So once you say yes and you join the inclusion revolution, what's in it for you, right? And this slide shows that perfectly, because the resources and benefits are just tremendous. So once you agree, we're going to provide you with training. And this video is actually part of that training. So we are able to sometimes do live trainings, but we talked about COVID earlier. COVID helped us get real creative, whether we wanted to be or not. And so we create these virtual trainings because we know how hard it is these days to get substitute teachers for people to leave the district to go to a training. So you can watch this during your prep, before or after school. You can get together with your group and watch it together, but it provides you everything you need to know about how to be involved in the Young Champions movement. The second thing it does is it provides you with a ton of equipment and materials. I cannot tell you how many free kits, um, athletic equipment, bags of balls and blocks and everything that I might need to be successfully prepared to go into a track meet. For Unified Robotics, it provides you every year with the mission, the mat, the robot. The robot itself is about $500. And if you are involved in Unified Robotics, that is given to you so that you can participate in Unified Robotics. So the equipment and materials and supplies are just amazing. And every year they're different. A few years ago, we did a really great promotion talking about Carl Erskine, and there were books. You could order books for your entire classrooms. All of that is free. The third point is the reimbursement dollars that you get. So for being part of and participating in Unified Robotics, Unified Game Day at the Young Champions level, after you do that, you can submit on your school letterhead a letter to Special Olympics Indiana saying that you participated and you did these things, and they will send you reimbursement dollars that will help you with the cost of things, like maybe you bought t-shirts for everybody. Maybe you paid for lunch, and those things are expensive. Maybe you gave out trophies, or, you wanted to buy some special things to make that day great for everybody. And, you know, districts sometimes don't have extra dollars to do those things. But by this reimbursement after the fact, you can pay for those things. That is tremendous. I know in Grant County, that has been a tremendous gift to us because we've been able to do some really neat things. And then during game day, so the number 4 point on this slide is signage. So I like to think of it as like the Pavarotti. So when you go to the Grammys and you see them walk across the red carpet and they're standing in front of the logos and everybody's snapping photos. That's what this is. So there's signage that we can bring to your event, and your athletes, your families, your whole groups can get together and snap photos of that to remember this day. And one thing that I always like to say to people, because I don't think everybody realizes this, sometimes moms and dads have never experienced their child participating in any kind of event like this. They haven't participated in T-ball. It was too hard. They haven't been invited to be on the school basketball team. They've never experienced their child being the star. So this is an opportunity for them to capture that picture so they can go back. So when their student graduates, they've got this photo to say, remember when they participated in Young Champions and how fun that was.
It's a big deal. It's a
It
very
is
big
a big
deal.
deal. And the last one on that slide is ribbons. Ribbons are expensive. I don't know if you've ever priced them, but the ribbons that Special Olympics Indiana gives are very professional. They're just like a ribbon that you would give for a high school track meet. And it goes first through, I think, up to 8th place if you wanted that. There are also participation ribbons, but all of that, you tell Special Olympics Indiana how many you want, and they send them to you. You don't pay for them at all.
All right, we have covered a lot of territory here. If a person watching this says, you know what, I'm in, I want our school to earn the Unified Champion School banner, or if they have more questions about something we've covered here, they don't understand, what should that individual do?
Well, one of the best things you can do is call me. Call me personally or send me an email and say, I'm working on this. I've got a stumbling block here. I don't know how to accomplish this. I can't get people to buy in. Call me. I can give you ideas that I myself have used, that others have used, and we'll walk you through that. I get many emails and phone calls. I'll jump on a Zoom meeting with you or a Google Meet, and we'll figure it out together. But don't suffer alone. Like if you can't come up with the answer to somebody to some problem that you have, just reach out to me.
Lisa, you're the best. Thank you for taking time to talk to me today, and thank you for your leadership. I'm going to put your contact information up here on a slide at the end of the video. And for those of you who have tuned in, thank you for your time. And on behalf of everyone at Special Olympics Indiana, ICASE, and more specifically, Young Champions, we want to thank you, and we look forward to working with you and your school. Stay unified.